Welcome back, everyone, to our Motzei Shabbos Marathon, as we're holding with the easier daf of the evening, Daf Yud Gimel, and we're holding 5 lines from the top, sponsored by Baruch Ian, Lili Nishmas, Esther Bas Yoni, Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba, Avram Ben Shmuel HaKaid, L'Refuah Shalema for Yaakov Shlomo Ben Lina, by Aaron Swade, Lili Nishmas, Chanan Bas Shmuel, and his sister Freda Bas Shol, by Shimon Deer, for the Chayli Adaf to have Refuah Shalem and all Chayli Yisrael by Mark Frankel, Refuah Shalem for Miriam Sarah Bas Sipora, for Be'ech Gowaser, for HaKos HaTov, what Hashem did for his family and for all Chayli Yisrael, for my Shver Avigdor Aryeh ben Rivka Mordechai ben Sari Hudis, for Meir ben Chai Sarah, they should all have a Refuah Shalema B'Seich Shar Chayli Yisrael. So the Gemara says, how could you compare the case where he gave the woman a mat with 4 zuz wrapped in it, and where he gave her something as a pikadon? So, Kashabah b'fum nara mishmei de Rav Huna, they had a difficulty in pum nara in the name of Rav Huna b'rei de Rav Yeshua. Mi dummy, what's the comparison? Hasam b'toiris pikadon yavinu ni'alei. There, in the case of the myrtle mat, now remember, in the myrtle mat, he gave it to her and said she should be mekudeshes with it. Here, with the pikadon, with the seller, he initially said that it should be a deposit. So Hasam, in the second case, B'Teiris pikadon yavinu nihala. Therefore, Savra, the fact that she was quiet, what are you going to say? That her quiet should be there. The question is, quiet, if she didn't want it, she should just return it and throw it down. So, by the pikadon, she wouldn't throw it down. Because Savra Isha Dinaluhu Umitbere, if I throw it down and it breaks, Michayvinabahu, they'll make me pay for it. So therefore, her quiet doesn't show any affirmation. She just didn't want to throw it down because she's afraid. But Hacha B'Teres Kiddushin Yavinu Nahala. He gave the mat with the 4 zuz as Kiddushin. If she didn't want it, she should just throw it back. Throw it down. So the Gemara says, you think all women are lamdonim? She didn't know over here because she didn't accept it as a pikadon, she wouldn't be responsible. You think women know Hilchas Mamanis? Hachanami Savra, even in the case of the mat with the 4 zuz, she didn't throw it back because he shadinalu, if I throw it down on mitbere, he's going to make me pay for it. And therefore, since she's not going to throw it back, her quiet after it was given is not tantamount to an approval. Now, Sholcha Rav Acha Barav Lekami de Ravina, Kahai Gav Namai. In our case, where she's given a mat with money, and she was told afterwards there's money, and she's quiet, what's the din? Shalach lei, so he says, look, anan le shmir lahan de Rav Huna b'rei de Reb Yeshua. I didn't hear this kasha of Rav Huna b'rei de Reb Yeshua. Atan de shmir lachu, you who heard it, and therefore we're worried over here, if she didn't want it, she shouldn't have been quiet, she should have just thrown it back. Chushala, you should be concerned, and therefore, even if she's quiet, you should necessitate a get misafik. So there was a woman, Davikamazavna Varshike. She was selling ribbons. Others say that this means pearls. It says on the side of the Gemara. Also, Gavra Chota Varshikamina. A man came and stole a ribbon from her. Amrulay, she said to him, Havani Ali, give it back. Amallah, so he said to her, if I give it back, will you be Mekudeshes to me? Shaklase, she took it back, v'ishtika, and she was quiet. So the Gemara says, she's not Mekudeshes. Rav Nachman, she could say, yeah, I took back what was mine, you stole it. In Shakle, v'didi Shlakli. I took it back, and I took back what is mine, so it's nothing. So the Gemara says, is it so pashit? Eisvei Rav Nachman, kitcha begezel, if you're Mekadosh with gezel, what you stole from her, and we'll see that this means from her, Ubechamis, and what you plundered from her, that means you paid her, but you forced her to sell it. Ubegnevo, you stole in stealth. Or you snatched the coin from her hand. Vikitcha, all of these are from her, and you have Kaddish Mekudeshes. So you see that it is good. Says the Gemara, Nahasam b'dishadich. There it's talking about where they already made up to get married. How do we know that there's a difference between when you make up to get married beforehand or not? The Tanya, for we learned in the Braisa, Amala kinsi selazush ani chayiv l'chi. Take this coin that I'm chayiv to you. V'chazav amala, and then he said to his skachli boy, be mekudeshes with it. B'shas matan mois. If when he gave it to her, ratza mekudeshes, if she agrees mekudeshes, loy ratza ain't mekudeshes. La'achamat mois, but afterwards, once she took it back for the debt, afilu ratza, even if she wants it, ain't mekudeshes. Now, my ratza, my loy ratza. What does it mean if she wants it and she doesn't want it? Ilema ratza damra in, loy ratza damra loy. If she doesn't want, it's no. Ha ishtika, but if she's quiet, have a Kiddushin. So then, if that's true, then it should say, V'nisnei mekudeshes stam. Just say that she's mekudeshes, unless she doesn't want it. Ki hasam. Elaratza da amra in, she wants it, is where she says yes. Loiratza da ishtika, where she's quiet. And it says that where she's quiet, the ketani deina mekudeshes. Why? Because she could say, my time, she could say, yeah, I took it, but I took what I wanted. My time, in shakli, v'didi shakli. You owed it to me, so I took it. Ve'alakasha, what about the case where she was mekadosh her with gezel, and we say she's mekudeshes? Why can't she say, I took it what was mine? Ve'alakasha, the kitchen begezel, v'chamas v'gneva, or shechatav selam miyada, and we said, the kitchen mekudeshes. Why can't she say, yeah, I took it, but I took what was mine? If they were already talking about marriage from beforehand, then if she takes it, even if she's quiet, we assume that she wanted it for Kiddushin. Kinok nafshe de Ravasi. When Ravasi passed away, now remember they didn't have written Gemara in those days. So when a great Torah teacher passed away, then the students got together to pool all of his teachings that each one remembered, so that they shouldn't lose any of his teachings. So Ailu Rabbanan gathered Linikutinu Lishmaitze to gather and put together all of his teachings. So Amalei Ahum Rabbanan, one of the rabbis said, Reb Yaakov Shmei, his name was Reb Yaakov, Hachi Amar Ravasi Amar Ramani Kishem She'ein Isha Niknes Bepachas Mishava Pruta. Just like a woman can't be acquired for less than a pruta, Kach Ein Karka Niknes Bepachas Mishava Pruta. So also, Karka, real estate, can't be acquired for less than a Shav Pruta. He says the Gemara Vatanya, we learned in the Braisa, Afal Pisha Ein Isha Niknes Bepachas Mishava Pruta. Karka niknis b'pachas m'shav pruta. The karka can be acquired for less than a shav pruta. Says the Gemara, no, that's talking about with chalipin. A woman cannot be acquired with chalipin, but a karka can be acquired. You could make a symbolic kinyan. I could give you a suder, and in lieu of that handkerchief, I acquire the real estate, and that's even if the Sudar is not a Shava Pruta. Amulei Vatanya Afal Pisheni Niknis Papachas B'Shav Pruta Karka Niknis Papachas B'Shav Pruta. Amulei Kitanya Hi B'Chalipin. Really, Karka cannot be acquired with less than a Shav Pruta. But there is a way that Karka could be acquired with a symbolic item that's less than a Shav Pruta. The Tanya Kainin B'Keli, because in the symbolic handkerchief, it could make a Kinyan Chalipin V'Afal Pisha Ein B'Y Shav Pruta, even though it's not worth a pruta. Then, another teaching, Hadur Yasvei V'Kamrei, Hadam Rabbi Yeshua, or Rabbi Yehuda Mashmul, Kol She'eni Yodea, B'Tiv Gittin Kiddushin, whoever doesn't know the nature of Gittin and Kiddushin, Lo Yehei Lo Yesik Iman, should not be occupied in them. Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, so that's another teaching of Rav Asi. V'Koshin La'olam Yosim Midaramab. A person that marries and thereby makes Gittin and doesn't know the halachas, so could cause mamzeris, is harsher for the world than the generation of the flood. Shenemar, it says Allah, oaths the kichish, and breaking them, v'ratzuach, and murder, v'ganav, and theft, v'no'af, and adultery, partzu, with procreation. Partzu represents period of Arivia, like Yirbu v'chein Yifritzu by Mitzrayim. V'domim b'domim nagu, and the blood with the blood touches. Now, literally, v'domim b'domim nagu means that there's such murder that the bloods of the victims will touch each other. That's the pashut pshat of the blood will touch one another. But, says the Gemara, how is this show that the dar, that a person that doesn't know Tiv, Gittin, and Kiddushin, which causes mamzeris, is worse than the dar hamabel? How does that become that way? So, Kedemetagnim Rabbi Yosef, when it says paratzu, v'nof, they commit adultery, and paratzu, it means moldim benin min neshei chavreyon. They have children from their friends' wives, which is causes mamzeris. And then when it says v'domim b'domim nagu, it means chayvin al chayvin moisifin. They add sin to sin. Uksiv, and because of this, al kain tev al ha'aretz. So because of this, the earth was wasted. V'umlal kol yoshev ba, and all that lives in it is desolate. B'chayes hasada u'ba'oif hashamayim v'gam degei hayomim yesaf. The beast of the field, the birds of the sky, and even the fish of the sea is gathered up. So for the sin of mamzeris, the fish of the sea is gathered up, which is worse than the mabel. The time of the dar mabel, there was no decree on the fish. Only that which is in the dry land. So the Gemara says, but maybe it's for the whole collection of sin. The pasuk says, false oaths and murder. Maybe it means until you do all of them. Says the Gemara, Allah of Lahar. It's because of the oaths the earth was destroyed. So the Gemara says, for false oaths, but everything else, but not just for the mamzeris. So the Gemara says, miksiv ufaratzu, with a vav, paratzu ksiv, just for the sin of mamzeris alone, is worse than the dar hamabel. We're still collecting the lessons of Rav Asi. It's wonderful to have so many people joining us on a late Motzei Shabbos. Thank you for coming here. Remember, Rabbi say this week shir is at 8:05. We're getting earlier. This is what people like Irving and Gedalia have been waiting for. Irving is doing a Kazatzka. Irving says now he could stay for the Chumash here. It's not a problem. Says the Gemara, Hada Yosef v'Kamrei, Hada Tnan Ho'isha Shevia Chatosa. A woman that gave birth, she has to bring a bird offering as a sin offering and a sheep as an oila. So Isha Shevia Chatosa, before she died, she brought her sin offering, Umesa, Yaviu Yoshin Oilasa. Her ears should bring her burnt offering. That's only if she separated the sheep while she was alive, and then she died, so they should bring it. But if she didn't separate it, like, even though we don't say that there's a shibud on her estate that they should have to bring the carbon. Alma Kesavar Shibuda Lav Daraisa. That the, so to speak, the requirement is not on the estate biblically. So Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rav Yochanan, on this, here we have another teaching of Rav Asi. Afal Gav Shelo Yefrisha Mechayim. Even if she didn't separate, but the Yoshim should bring from her estate the sheep for an Ola. Alma Kasava Shibudi Daraisa. Says the Gemara, but that's not a new argument. There's a famous argument about that. The Rav Shmuel Dimrei Travayu Milva Al Peh, a all alone, ain't a goyva min hayoshim, v'loy min halakuchas, cannot collect from the ears and not collect from buyers. Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish Dimrei Travayu Milva Al Peh, an all alone, goyva min hayoshim, bein min hayoshim, bein min halakuchas. So it must be that Rav and Shmuel hold shibuda lav daraisa, and Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish hold shibuda daraisa. Tzricha. If we say in the case of the woman's carbon, Bahak Amar Shmuel, Mishum Deloy Milva Ksuva B'Torah. There Shmuel says, if we would say it in the case of an oral loan, that's because it's not something that's written in the Torah. You see, that she has to bring a sheep is written in the Torah. So where does Shmuel say that you can't collect an oral loan from the ears? That's Mishum Delay Milvik Sub B'Torah. That's not something written in the Torah. Aval Bahach, but in the case of the sheep of a woman that gave birth, where the Torah says that she has to bring a sheep of an Ayla, I might think that he agrees with Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish that they have to take from the woman's property to bring the carbon. On the other hand, and if you would say, in the case of the sheep that has to be brought right. If you would only say the machloikis, in the case of the sheep, there, Bahakamar, it could be, V'hakam Rabbi Yochanan in the milk v'ksuv b'Torah k'ksuv b'shtardan. Aval b'hach, but an oral loan, ema maida leila shmuel. They might admit to Shmuel that you can't collect it from the Yarshim, so tzricha, they have to argue in both cases. Now, Amar Rav Papa, Hilchasa, the law is milva al peh, an oral loan, goiva min Yarshim, you could collect from ears, because shibuda is doraisa, but the ain't a goiva min al kuchas, but you can't collect from the buyers, because when the buyers did a title search, they wouldn't know about an oral loan because it doesn't have a curl. Goyim in a Yarshim, they collect from the ears because shibuda doraisa. The shibud is biblical. However, v'geina goyim in alakuchas, because there's no way that the buyers could protect themselves, the less like color, because it's not known since it was an oral loan. Now, a lot of different topics for one night's learning. The kaina es atzma beget ubamisas habal. We said that a woman is acquired with kesef shtarabiyah, and she frees herself from her marriage with a get or the death of her husband. Lo yaleinu. So the Gemara says bishlam a get, that she's free when she gets a get. The civic custody say for creases. He writes her a severance, and then she can marry somebody else. How do we know that if the husband dies, maybe she has to be loyal to her husband for the rest of her life? How do we know that if the husband dies, she could marry someone else? So the Gemara says, Svarahu, who asra, he causes her to be asr, and now that he's dead, and therefore now she's permitted. Says the Gemara, but that's not true. V'arayis to asalahu, in forbidden relationships, he causes her to be forbidden. And when he dies, for example, if he has a son, when he dies, she still can't marry that son. So,
how many wives?
Yeah.
There are psukim that we could bring that we see that when the husband dies, she's mutter.
Well, wait. The Gemara is going to talk about it.
Okay.
Ella mid'amarachmani yavama she'ein la banim asura. Since the Torah says a yavama, if she dies childless, if the husband dies childless, she's forbidden to loisiesh sameisach l'izar mashma hayesh labanim. If she had children, mutares. Says who says? Maybe vidilma ain't labanim. When she has no children, she can marry the other. Asur la'alma v'shayil the other. But maybe if she has children, she's also to everybody. V'yesh labanim l'kuli alma nami asura. Ella says the Gemara, since the Torah says that a widow is forbidden to a kohen gadol, when her husband dies, that implies so you see that when her husband dies, she can marry a regular kohen. She just can't marry a kohen gadol. Says the Gemara, no, v'dilma l'kohen gadol b'lav, but l'kulei alma ba'aseh. Everybody else, she's also with an aseh, and that aseh is if she didn't die childless, she's not allowed to get married. Only if she dies childless. If he dies childless, is she allowed to get married? Says what's to create the asay? If the isser, the capital sin of adultery is removed with the death of the husband, then tishrei legamrei, she should be permitted entirely. And if it doesn't help, then tukvan b'milsa hamaisa, it should still be a capital offense. Says that's not true. Sometimes a change minimizes the yisr. Alam aloi, apikta memisa v'okim talaseh. The husband dies, there's no misa, but there's an asay. Midei davi apsule mikdashim. Kachim that becomes disqualified. The meikara isbu mila. First there's a lav of meila. V'asirei begiz of avoda, and it's also to shear the wool and to work with it. Parkinu, if it is redeemed after it gets disqualified, meila lesbo, there's no meila, but there still is an iser. There's a demotion of Isser. Begiz of Avodah Asireh. Says the Gemara, as Gedalia says, there's psukim. El midama krab pen yomas b'milchama, lest he die in battle. V'ish achar yikochena, right? That's why we let her be free for a year, and because lest he die in battle and another man take her. So we see that you could marry her after the husband dies. Says the Gemara, well, maybe that means the Yovam will take her. Masker Rav Sheish ber Rav Idi ema man acher Yovam. Because since she's newly married, they didn't have children yet. So the other person means the Yovam. Amar Rav Ashi beis shuvas bedavar. There's two problems. First of all, chada the Yovam lo yikrei acher. You wouldn't call another person a brother-in-law. You wouldn't call him an acher. V'aid, and furthermore, ksiv, usneiha ishar achrein. If, let's say, we had that in this week's parasha, right? Where she married, she got a get, she marries again, and she hates the second husband. The cause of la sefer creases, and he divorces her, or the second husband dies. So we said you're not allowed to go back to the first husband, because that's ma'azik rishasai la'achar shenisas. The iskish misa legerishin. We juxtapose death to divorce. Ma gerishin sharia v'gomeres. Just like divorce causes her to be completely permitted. Af misa, when he dies, sharia v'gomeres, it causes her to be completely permitted. Gedalia, did you have another pasuk in mind?
Was my puzzle.
Yeah, okay. Good thought. Good thought. By the way, I should tell you that why is a ma'aser gushasa l'achar shenisas forbidden? Why is that? She here Sarah was married to Chatzkel. Chatzkel divorces her. Then Sarah marries someone else, and he divorces her. And now both Sarah and Chatzkel matured, and after living with the second guy, she found out the first guy wasn't so bad. So why can't she return to her first husband? It's not allowed. And it's interesting, the Rishonim say, because the Torah did not want to give an opportunity for legalized wife swapping. Because this would be an opportunity for legal wife swapping. They could get together for a weekend, and for the weekend each one will give a get, they'll make new Kiddushin, they'll have wife swapping, and then after the weekend they'll go back to each other. So the Torah did not want to give away for legal wife swapping, and therefore it's usher to take back Grusha after she gets married to someone else. Okay, Rabbi say, we're going to do the Mishnah Yomis now. I will tell you that we are going to be learning this week at 8:05. So let's try to start, as timely as we can. Also, we're looking for a sponsor for Kisavai, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. We are, by the way, Rabbi Isai, coming up to the finish of Rosh Hashanah, as Rabbi Suel Fisher has pointed out to me. We're really moving along over here. We have two long Mishnayos now, so let's just go set up now.